Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, just like we are every single day. Check out our friends online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Go Chevrolet, a couple of locations, one out in LaPlace for brand new cars, and for a used car, stop in at Go Express Auto Sales here on Florida Boulevard in Sherwood Forest in Baton Rouge. Jam-packed show coming up today. We will talk to Kayshon Boutte in studio. Looking forward to that, as Kayshon will be here at 8:30 this morning. We will get an update on his injury, where he is going into spring drills. What are his expectations now in his money season in college football? Got the NIL deal in the offseason with Gordon McKernan. We'll ask him about that and how it affects him moving forward and what he anticipates from that wide receiver room. Excellent interview yesterday with Kyren Lacy. If you missed it, remember you can check it out online. Brought to you by our friends over at RMB Builders. Rhett Bourgeois and his crew over at RMB Builders, always taking care of us and bringing back our podcast. So if you missed yesterday's show, easy to check out that sound from Kyren Lacy and the crew on anywhere you pick up your podcasts. Today we'll talk to Kayshon Boutte, as we said, 8:30. Fletcher Mackel from down in New Orleans is going to stop by at 8 a.m. this morning, as we will talk to Fletcher about everything that's going on in New Orleans. With Jameis Winston inking a deal with the New Orleans Saints. Zion Williamson breaking the internet last night. Could have caught that information somewhere a little earlier in the day if you were paying attention.
Just a little feeler out there. See what happens.
Take a stab. See what happens, man.
Of all people.
Man, yes, right. Jordy Culotta of all people.
Pelicans insider.
That's right. But we will talk to Fletcher about all New Orleans, including the tornado that went through New Orleans last night. As I was prepared yesterday afternoon and really starting to prepare my jokes to aim at the Catholic Diocese and the East Baton Rouge education system for calling off school and shutting down businesses due to a little wind coming through the capital city yesterday afternoon. But then you see some of the images coming out of New Orleans last night, and horrific images and very scary images of a tornado forming over New Orleans, and a very large tornado as the wind was blowing and ripping through St. Bernard Parish. So our prayers are with the lower Ninth Ward and everyone affected by that tornado that ripped through New Orleans yesterday. We'll talk to Fletcher and get an update coming up here from New Orleans at 8 a.m. this morning. Also down in New Orleans, shout out to Coach Stacy Hollowell and the Loyola Wolfpack as they get their first national championship in AIA Natty last night as they take care of Talladega. They ripped through Talladega for the fourth time this season. Coach Hollowell and the Wolfpack win 38 games, only losing one throughout the year. So congratulations to Loyola on an excellent run. What an incredible season it was for Coach Hollowell and that crew as they close it out last night with a national championship. So we'll ask Fletch a little reaction there. But there you see a picture from last night of the national champions Wolfpack as they took it home last night in St. Louis. Appreciate you starting your day with us as always. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button if you don't mind before we get into today's content. As always, we're brought to you by True Blue Water, trubluewater.com. trubluewater.com is how you get on the delivery route. And our phone line is brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. Real doctors, real solutions. Our friends Charles Harvey and Jason Ramazan over there at Metropolitan Health Group, bringing you our phone line every single day. Obviously, the big news is Zion Williamson, and we'll start there, and we'll get to LSU spring football. You will hear from Brian Kelly today. Terron Armstead signed a big deal, and he is leaving New Orleans. LSU basketball loses another 5-star. Matt McMahon and the LSU basketball coach has his contract terms announced, as do some other coaches on LSU's campus. So we got a lot to get to here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We start at maybe a different launch point than we would on days with we rarely talk Pelicans and we rarely talk what's going on down there. But yesterday after the news, if you look around, or if you're paying attention to your timeline this morning, if you're waking up and getting dressed and you're kind of flipping through the channels and you're stopping this Zion Williamson video that has broken the internet last night, as he put it out right near 8:30 last night, 9 o'clock, is crossover news. This is not just sports news. As you see here from Zion's Instagram, as it put out last night, shows a very healthy, or at least explosive, Zion Williamson leaping up off the ground, catching a basketball off the backboard, putting it between his legs and yamming it in. He's got the Zion 2 shoes on. I know there's a lot of people out there that are trying to break down this film and be conspiracy theorists on this and tell you that it's coming from a different date and time. But the facts is that came from the New Orleans Pelicans facility 2 nights ago, as Zion is continuing to work out and get himself prepared to come back. And from the people that we have spoke to around the scene over there, Zion is chomping at the bit to get back to work. And the disconnect between this superstar and the franchise has entered a stratosphere that, in covering, and look, nobody's coming here for Pelicans news. I understand that. We're stuck down here 60 miles away, and we talk a little New Orleans Saints, and we get into the NFL, and we really, dive into some stuff like the draft and regular season and playoffs and cover the Saints on all their runs. But as far as the Pelicans go, nobody's really coming here to find in-depth knowledge on New Orleans. Now, we got some information yesterday that we knew a video was going to come down at some point during the afternoon, evening, or nighttime yesterday that was going to be expressing that Zion Williamson was healthy enough to play, because the narrative has been from New Orleans, and just reading the media and keeping up with what's going on with the story, is that Zion has been detached from the team. He's been in Portland. He's not using the medical staff. And then yesterday you see Shams put out an article on The Athletic, who, Shams is as respected of a writer that you'll find in any league, a reporter, right? If he's going to print with some information, that's usually confirmed a couple of times. And his sources aren't the water boy. I mean, his sources are usually coming from an executive level, from a bench level type source. And shortly after we tweeted out, and I'm not saying that by any means that it was a response to our tweet, but I think that somebody within the Pelicans organization saw our tweet and said, hey, something's going on. We might want to get out in front of this. And then Shams puts out the article that Zion is done for the season and shut down. And then you see the video come out and people are saying, hold up, what's going on? I mean, if the guy's in the facility working out, showing that he's got some type of, he's putting weight on his foot, right? From all we've been told is he's non-weight bearing. He's starting to slowly work himself back. He's not yet running. He can't yet move. That is BS. That guy can play. Pelicans, even though they have, 10 regular season games left and a chance to maybe make that push for the playoffs, put him into the lineup. I don't understand what is going on other than the Pelicans are either trying to hide and protect him and keep him healthy, which I understand, but it all looks like the information that's been coming out of the organization has not been what it actually is. They claim that he could need a second surgery, but yet he's catching the ball off the board and dunking it in off of a bum ankle. And you don't hear anything from anybody in the Pelicans organization. Yeah, they take him off the ticket renewals for the brochures going out to ticket holders. There's never been a real clear explanation of just, hey, man, what's the deal? Why is there this breakdown between David Griffin or the executive committee of the New Orleans Pelicans and what could potentially be the face of the organization and should be the face of the organization in his third year out of college. It's been a hell of a roller coaster ride. But when he's healthy and he's ready to play, get him on the floor. It seems like there is just this excuse after story after made up tale of how the Pelicans are trying to keep Zion off the floor. And then you see that stuff last night. That has to be very frustrating for the people on the front line that are ticket buyers and fans of the franchise when the Pelicans are really playing well and feel like they're kind of like this close.
Maybe a superstar away.
Maybe a superstar away. And you've got one working out in your facility under contract that nobody's even really talking to.
Not only working out.
When I put out that tweet yesterday, the tweets that I received back, the text that I got back from people claiming, like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Zion can't even walk, I got from a couple of people. Zion can't put weight on his ankle. You're a moron. Why would anybody listen to you on Pelicans information? Stick to LSU. You're a dumbass. Nobody's playing. Zion's not playing for anybody this year. Like, where is that information coming from? I mean, some of these people were in the media in New Orleans. One of the persons that sent me a text worked for the Pelicans. Works in the organization. Said, man, I hate to tell you, you're going to look like a dumbass. That ain't happening. He can't play. Like, that's coming from somebody within the organization. And then you just turn on Instagram last night or get on Instagram last night and he's working out in the facility. Like, the disconnect between the Pelicans and this superstar, it's got to fall on somebody's feet. It feels like a fireable offense. It feels like somebody needs to lose their job over how disconnected the relationship is between the organization and Zion Williamson. I mean, they have people, and like the person that was telling me was like speaking with conviction, like, he can't even play. Like, you're going to look like a moron, man. I'm looking out for you. Take that tweet down. And then 4 hours later, Zion's working out in the facility. I have no explanation on how a superstar and a franchise within 3 years cannot talk to each other and have so much mixed messages of just sit down in one room and come up with the plan for what the superstar is going to get back onto the floor and help the team. It's maddening. It is maddening to really kind of think the narrative that the Pelicans have tried to create on Zion, like up until yesterday. Didn't everybody think like Zion was like, there was no chance he was coming back. There was no way he was going to be able to get back onto the floor this year. And maybe that video didn't prove that he can, but he's a lot more advanced than I thought he was. Because I've just been listening and reading what was been coming out of the organization. Shams is not putting anything to print at The Athletic without it confirmed 3 times, and his sources are not the top fan or somebody in the training facility or the towel kid. I mean, it is an executive. I would be willing to bet it would be like David Griffin is the type of relationships that he has when getting that information. And for them to just shut it down, he's done for the season without having like an explanation of like, well, what about that? What about that video of him jumping around and looking like he's ready to play? I don't know, man. There's just such a disconnect, man, between Zion and New Orleans, not the city, the Pelicans, that just feels almost at this point irreparable, or that somebody's got to, there has to be some type of shakeup. And I'm not here calling for people's job and telling that people's head need to roll or, who to take out of but it feels like, how can it get this bad? How can it get to this point? That somebody haven't just stepped up and said, hold up, before we go down where he's working out away from the facility and we don't even know when he's jumping and running, let's all sit down, close the door, figure this stuff out. And the only person I can think of that really needs to take this thing and take control of it is David Griffin. I mean, this is what you were brought in for, man. But I've never felt secure in Griffin running the organization. His message has always been, to me since day one, very confusing. It was always about everything but basketball, breathing techniques and what the players were going to do in the locker room and downtime. And dude, just put them on the floor and get a basketball team ready. But things like this is a great way to prove your value and worth to a franchise of managing a superstar and a personality that can really, it could transition the entire scope of the organization. I mean, if this guy works out, if Zion Williamson works out, your organization goes and does almost what the Saints have done over the last 15 years. The value of the New Orleans Saints over the last 15 years when it's run right with true superstars. I mean, you've got an investment that is nearly quadruple the value of what you bought it for. And from a business sense, David Griffin, that's your job. Manage this personality. Make sure he can get on the floor. And everything that has been done up to this point has seemed like just a complete and total failure from Griffin in the Pelicans' point of view. I mean, to see that video last night was very discouraging. It had to be, I can't imagine the PR mess that the Pelicans are dealing with in-house after all the messages and all of the feeling that has been around them with Zion. And now to see that he's healthy enough to do that, and you're fighting for what potentially could be that last playoff spot in the West, put that guy in the lineup. There's reference to the Athletic article put out yesterday afternoon by Shams saying that Zion Williamson is not expected to return to play this season, but he is making progress toward on-court work. Light
work.
What? He's catching the ball off the glass, going between his legs and yamming it in. He feels good. Get him on the floor. And I'm telling you, that article right there, Shams is getting that information from a trusted source, a secure source within the Pelicans. That's coming from the Pelicans. Zion obviously doesn't feel like that. He's putting out videos showing you what he can do. Just the disconnect, man, is... It just feels insubordinate on the Pelicans' point of view. I don't care if you don't like each other. I don't care if the sides don't get along. You sit down in a room and figure this shit out for the better of the organization. From David Griffin's point of view, that's your job. Figure this stuff out. Whether you like him or don't like him, you got to have him. And when he's making plays and can do stuff like that, he better be on the floor. I'm anxious to see what today's like for the Pelicans. I'd imagine they'll answer. They're in cleanup.
Might have to throw a press conference.
They're in cleanup. They are in cleanup. But we're going to talk to Fletcher Mackel coming up here at 8 a.m. and we'll ask him about it.
I was going to ask you, do you think that this... I feel like the court of public opinion was on the Pelicans side up until this point, and now I feel like this one video, this one thing has swung back in Zion's favor as to why, because Zion has been so silent. he wasn't with the team. He was in Portland. He was doing all these things that seemed like he was disinterested in being a New Orleans Pelican.
Yeah.
But now when this comes out and it seems like, the news on March 5th was that Zion was cleared to resume on-court basketball activities. March 23rd, almost nearly, 20 days? Now Zion can't play at all, not expected to return. Zion puts out a video the next day showing, hey, I can play basketball. It feels like Zion has just kind of been waiting patiently to do something, and now whenever they said he's not going to play, I'm here to show you that I can. And so it feels like it's gone from almost all of New Orleans was on the Pelican side to now they're on Zion's side wondering what's going on in the New Orleans organization.
Yeah, you're asking a lot of questions like how can it get like this? How can you allow a relationship with that type of player and what he means to the organization and the city to get this rotten? I mean, it just feels like they're not even talking. They're like going back and forth on social media. Zion's working out in the facility with personnel from the Pelicans front office or within the administration thinking that he can't play and can't run. It's a hell of a breakdown, man.
Well, and it makes you wonder how much control does a franchise actually warrant? If there's obviously reasons why they wouldn't want Zion to play, whether it be draft position or you want to protect him for his own health. But if a player is saying he can play, at what point does it become, okay, you can play if you've been cleared by medical doctors or what have you? There's obviously a disconnect. Things are coming to a head. I just wonder whether it'll just be DNP, coach's decision.
Be anxious to see how the Pelicans handle the day. I'd imagine that they got a lot of questions coming their way. We're brought to you every day by Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. They are number one in the number two business, specializing in all works of plumbing, whether it's industrial, commercial, residential, and backflow prevention. They employ 30-year veterans of the trade. They also have the young and future up-and-coming plumbers, a part of their staff over there at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. 2 trucks work in the greater Baton Rouge area every single day on this side of the river. They're originated over in Plaquemine. No website, no social media. Got a ton of work, and they want yours. Get in touch with them by calling 225-776-2431. 225-776-2431. And remember, if you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, you will receive a 15% discount on your bottom line. It doesn't matter if you got a service call, if you've got some type of cleanup that you need done with your plumbing services. If you say that you heard it here on the Jordy Culotta Show, our friend Jude Barker over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works will take 15% off the bottom line. Remember, Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, no social media, 30 years of experience. They cover the greater Baton Rouge area all the way to the Gulf Coast. As we said, they got 2 trucks in Baton Rouge every single day. Number one in the number two business, Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, bringing you to the Jordy Culotta Show every single day. All right, our poll question is up for you as well all over our polls, brought to you by Southern Eye Center over on Jefferson Highway, but asking a very easy question on the Hour 1 poll. Who do you believe? Whose side of the story do you believe, Zion or the Pelicans, on this situation with New Orleans and their superstar? All right, yesterday, as we said, LSU was able to unveil some of the new contract terms with Matt McMahon. As we said, the new basketball coach signed a 7-year deal with his salary starting at $2.6 million and increasing to $3.2 million. McMahon will receive an extra year if LSU gets a multi-year postseason ban or loses 2 scholarships for at least 3 years. So this is exactly kind of what we talked about over the last 48 hours when you knew McMahon was the guy and was going to be the next guy in line for LSU. When you asked what his contract was going to look like or what they were selling, this is obvious kind of what we were discussing. They don't really know what they're selling, but they know they need a basketball coach. So if it means that you've got to overpay or give some security to the profession and give some job security with more years than you usually see on a contract, well, then it makes sense, right? So I think this is to be expected. I don't think that this is surprising to anyone. But one thing is for certain, and I know that we've talked about this at all mile markers of coaching hires, whether it was Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson, Brian Kelly, and now here with Matt McMahon. Scott Woodward got the money right at LSU before he took this job. before he got to Baton Rouge, he made sure that there was a war chest for him to get to. Almost like these collectives that we talk about with NIL. You know, I mean, it is my belief, and I've got no evidence, and I've spoke to no one on this, but it's my thought that, 2 years, a year and a half before LSU moved on Joe Oliva, some power probably flew into College Station or visited Scott Woodward at his South Louisiana duck and fishing camp and said, hey, Scotty, the time is now. Oliva's an idiot. Nobody trusts him. He's putting the place in the toilet. It's time for you to come back. If you were to come back to LSU, what do you need? And I think that number one on Scott Woodward's checklist was, I need a war chest. I need about $100 million that I got access to, so I can go in there and start cleaning up the personnel within the athletic administration. All those figures and characters and positions that you can go out and raise money privately to start moving people out of position. We need that private money accessible day one that I step on the job, coming from Woodward's point of view. Because one thing that has not been an issue in every move that Woodward has made has been the money. Right? I mean, there has been no issue, and I know that the SEC contract is stupid on how much money they make off of the conference and the league, and it's only going to get better, and it's only going to improve. But you're still running a business, and you still got to watch the bottom line. And LSU is throwing tons of cash all over their head coaches. And it's clear that Woodward had a plan in place and had the funds put in place to make sure if he needed to make hard decisions, that the money wasn't going to prohibit that. So when you look up and you see Matt McMahon, starting at around 2.6 and escalating up to 3.2, I mean, he knew he had the money. He knew he had the money in place. That's why this thing didn't take long. But I'm not surprised when I look up and see McMahon's contract. I think that's how this job had to be negotiated right now. Because when you look at the terms of the contract, it's very evident. Even LSU doesn't understand what's coming down from the NCAA. They're not sure whether it's going to be multi-year postseason bans, multi-year scholarship limitations. Whatever it is, you've got to language that into the contract and show that you're prepared for it, or that there is some type of stipulation put in place to massage that. 7 years makes sense because you don't know what the next 2 or 3 are going to look like. And it gives McMahon an opportunity, really, as we said earlier this week, a real grace period to learn the lay of the land. Got great feedback from yesterday's show and segment, not just from Kyren Lacy. And Lacy was a fantastic interview and gave really good insight, showed his leadership skills, and the people dumping on him talking about the quarterback. Get a life. Get a life. I mean, that's a leader. Just because he doesn't look like your leader, he's not saying the message that you thought he would by sitting down here and not have taken a snap for the team yet. I love to see that. How can you not embrace somebody like that steps up and says what they want and wants to urge people to do better? I'm all for Kyren Lacy. Going to be tough not to pull for number 2 this year. He was great yesterday, and looking forward to Kayshon Boutte coming through here at 8:30 this morning. Compliments of our friend Gordon McKernan.
And I know it's a message you'd want to hear from your quarterback, right? But the fact that it's not coming from your quarterback, that's okay. Somebody's got to say something if it's not right. Like, say what you want about UL football and where he came from, but they were winning. And he said it himself, because I know what championships look like. I know what it's like to be a part of a winning program. So I'm bringing that attitude with me.
Side by side, LSU's football program compared to UL's the last 2 seasons is not even comparable. UL has been so far advanced as far as organization, structure, and leadership that they have been lapping LSU So to take one out of their locker room and get that mentality, starting to at least get fertilized within the LSU locker room, everybody should be open and inviting to that. But where they are with Matt McMahon, how did we get distracted? I'm sorry, where did we go from there? How did we get to Kyren? We were talking about McMahon's contract.
Oh, and then Scott Woodward having a war chest and being able to fly in. Or LSU brass needing to get a war chest, flying in. Scott Woodward getting the money right so we could get Brian Kelly, so we could get Kyren Lacy, and kind of having a plan together with NIL, Gordon McKernan, money.
Right.
Money, contracts to money to football.
Yeah, the money's not an issue.
To me.
The money's not the money's not an issue when you're talking about Woodward being able to bring in his personnel. I mean, the athletic department is totally flipped now. It's totally flipped. Not just the head coaches. I mean, under the radar, without us, bringing it to light every day, the compliance department's totally shaken up. The academic support's totally shaken up. And I think that's the next animal that they have to tackle. One of the things that we haven't discussed is that LSU basketball is an APR graveyard. They are in an APR graveyard, and about to be even worse with the turnovers of people leaving, transfers. I mean, the academic side of LSU athletics is a mess. And that's just another mountain that Woodward, Remph, Alsbury, and crew are going to have to try and tackle. Because I'm not trying to speak down like I know what these jobs entail because I've never held the seat. But in knowing people who have held the jobs and had immediate relationships, friendships, and seen it up close, it's a lot more than coaching your team. It's a lot more than trying to get recruits. You got to make sure everything from the academic support is in line. You got to make sure everything from compliance is in line. You got to make sure everything from a booster support is there. And the more we were talking about the feedback that we got from the LSU basketball segment yesterday when we were talking about the characters and what it means from the personalities to have success here. And the more I was reading through some of the feedback of people either texting or tweeting in or somehow getting involved or emailing in, Jordy at jordyculotta.show.com if you ever want to email. All of the direct messages are open on our social media. Easy to access this show. Don't forget our mailbag segment today.
Oh, we forgot.
Hashtag mailbag. We did forget. But hashtag mailbag. Stewie, make sure we're monitoring that.
We were breaking news.
But the LSU basketball coach, to me, as we said yesterday, and a little bit further on it is, you've got to be able to understand how to navigate all of these channels and build these relationships and get yourself some, confident, secure people within higher ranks that can help you kind of navigate and get into rooms that you don't even know exist right now. And I think that the 7-year contract gives Matt McMahon a little bit of a grace period to learn the lay of the land, find the relationships, find the people that can point him in the right direction and, give him a chance to be successful here. Because think about the people who have had success here. It's been people who have pushed the envelope, who have been a little rigid, who have stood out, been a little creative, a little unique. Dale Brown, a very unique character. John Brady, very rigid. Will Wade, a unique guy, really embraced, created waves, disrupted stuff. Dale Brown, the same way, really stood out. Johnny Jones had good players. Johnny Jones had Jarrell Martin, had Jordan Mickey, had the number 1 pick in the draft, Ben Simmons. Do you remember Johnny Jones at all? Not really. Trent Johnson's a good guy. Put him on a chalkboard. He'll outcoach just about everybody that's come through here, X and O wise. Do you remember Trent Johnson? No. Why? Couldn't recruit. Bad personality. Didn't fit. I didn't know Press Maravich. But it seemed like Presmarovich was kind of like John Brady, just a walking ball of stress the entire time he was here. His son just happened to be the best player in the world at the time. I mean, Matt McMahon is the 25th basketball coach at LSU. Outside of the 4 I just named you, 5 I just named you, Presmarovich, Dale Brown, John Brady, Will Wade, Trent Johnson, Johnny Jones. I'm at 6. Matt McMahon would be my 7th, and I'm done. I mean, who is it next? Like Harry Rabenhorst? Bernie Moore? I don't even know if they coach the team. I'm just thinking of people that have fields and stadiums named after them.
Yeah. Just go around Tigerland and start looking at the street signs. You might find a coach.
But you've got to be able to stand out here, man. You got to have a little Nate Oates to you. You got to have a little John Calipari to you.
But is that fair to expect from?
No, it's not.
Right.
It's not. That's why I think that the group and the pool of coaches that can be and succeed at LSU is very small. It's a very small group of people that can come in here. And even like Will Wade, I think that you kind of fell backwards into a guy like Wade who just happened to be one of those people who could handle it, who could navigate it, who was, a little bold and forthright enough to put himself into some situations and meet the people that, haven't been around since Dale Brown. So, McMahon, I'm like I said yesterday, I'm anxious to see his personality. I'm anxious to see his press conference, just to see his personality. One thing that you saw with Wade in his opening press conference was you got a sense of his personality. You were like, whoa, I'm in. People were buying tickets. People were all in on booting up and loving basketball and kind of getting energized on basketball again. Not to say you got to go out there and hand pizzas out on every corner to fans and make sure that they're in there, but you have to have some juice. You got to have some pizzazz to you. You got to have some type of pull, some type of draw that brings them in.
And I would always push back and say you do have to do that. Look at Kim Mulkey. Even though the season she still had to buy tickets for the students to be able to get into the game for the NCAA tournament. Like, you have to go out and almost beat the streets for college basketball in Baton Rouge, just because I would say it's the third sport in Baton Rouge. Obviously, football is king. Baseball would rank among 2, if not 3, when it comes to the best sports in Baton Rouge, what people care to pay attention to. And Will Wade was making the effort to try to get it. He knows he's not going to ever be one in Baton Rouge. No coach will ever, or any sport will ever top LSU football as long as I feel like I'm alive. But if you want to make a wave and make a dent, you have to kind of be a personality like Will Wade was, like Kim Mulkey is. You have to make people excited as opposed to just putting a good product out.
Will Joseph, Jordy, did you just say that Matt McMahon is the 7th best coach in basketball at LSU with him never taking the court? No, I said he's the 7th basketball coach I can name, and 25 of them that have been here.
But he might be.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know Matt McMahon enough to really give a true judgment on, other than what I've seen over the last couple of days of just watching some YouTube film and some things that were on the internet. I mean, his team looks very well coached. His teams look very well prepared. I think that they'll be much more active on the offensive end than they've been the last couple of seasons. But at the end of it, you have to get players. And LSU is a job that you've got to recruit nationally, the LSU basketball job. You can't count on the state. It's not football. You can't build your roster from, the I-10 corridor. It's just not there. A lot of those guys that you want are like Kyren Lacy. You see him play basketball when you're a sophomore, and you're like, damn, this guy might be a player. Next thing you know, he's a wide receiver at LSU. So, I mean, you're going to have to really get outside the state and recruit and sell the message. And, that's one thing that Wade was doing at a very good rate, at a very high rate. Oh, he was cheating. He was paying. All right, whatever, man. I get it. But he was bringing in talent from outside of the state, and they were building rosters with that. Can Matt McMahon go sell that message outside of the state, bring in some, not that you got to go get 3 5-stars in one class, but you need to get one every other year if you're trying to win. if you really want to win, because Texas is coming into the league. They're winning. Oklahoma's coming into the league. They got a good coach in Porter Moser. He wants to win. Nate Oates in Alabama want to win. Eric Musselman in Arkansas are playing in the Sweet 16. Calipari in Kentucky are going to be there. I mean, even now, look at Florida. Todd McDonald from San Francisco. And a lot of people think he's got the juice, that he might be a guy that can create some waves and bring Florida back. Florida could be relevant in basketball pretty quickly. They have the resources. They got the commitment. They got the facilities.
But isn't part of the reason you bring in a guy like McMahon is because he doesn't have any of those things tied to him? Like, he doesn't really seem to have – I don't know him either. Look, I haven't met him, but he doesn't have that brash personality. Doesn't seem like he wants to do the things that are probably necessary to recruit, like Will Wade did at LSU. And obviously NIL changes that picture a little bit. But Woodward almost had to go a different direction because of the heat that Will Wade brought to LSU basketball. So you have to get somebody that – what's the first thing that everybody said about him? Squeaky clean. So it's not going to be able to – it's the worst time probably LSU could have picked to have to hire a new basketball coach with the landscape of the SEC and how it's changing and how it's invested in basketball. So he's going to have a tough task ahead of him, and if he's not going to willing to kind of play the basketball recruiting game and do it the right way under the right way, then he's going to have a tough time getting players here. Because like I said, people don't care about LSU basketball unless you force them to. He's in a tough spot.
Really and truly he is, man. I mean, it's a tough time to be the head coach, and it could be for the next couple of years. But if he can navigate it, get out of it, meet the right people, get into the right rooms, and start to get players, I think people will understand what the next couple of years are going to look like.
And that's why you give him 7 years.
Exactly.
And Scott Woodward has done that for almost nearly every coach he's hired to this point. It was 10 years for Brian Kelly, 8 years for Mulkey, 8 years for McMahon, 5 years for Jay Johnson. Like, he's extending these contracts out as long as he's there. So it feels like Scott Woodward will be here for at least 5 years, and at the most 10. Like, he's tethering himself to all of his hires and not looking to make different ones.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by GoFlow IV. GoFlow IV, located on Jefferson Highway, GEAUX flowiv.com. If you want to get over there today and get some energy for the day. If you were down and out yesterday because of the weather keeping you inside, the kids were inside, they got you drained from running around, go get a little pick-me-up over at GoFlow IV, GEAUX flowiv.com. Another spot where if you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, you get a discount over there. They'll take 15% off of your initial visit over at GoFlow if you just mention the Jordy Culotta Show each time that you go over there for the first time. They'll take 15% off. They offer memberships, whether it's 3 month, 6 month, and annual memberships. It's Baton Rouge's premier medical spa. They specialize in IV hydration treatments with vitamin infusion, as you can find them online, GEAUXflowiv.com. Looking forward to talking to Kayshon Boutte coming up here at 8:30 this morning. We'll catch up with Kay on what's going on in the offseason. We'll also talk to Fletcher Mackel coming up here at 8 a.m. We'll get the latest on what's going on down in New Orleans. We'll get an update on the tornado that ripped through St. Bernard Parish and the lower Ninth Ward overnight. So hopefully everybody that was in the track of that storm and that tornado is safe and sound here, waking up this morning, as that was a scary image that was circulating last night on social media. Another image that was circulating on social media last night was Zion Williamson jumping off that what was thought to be a bum ankle, but did not look like it was too much of a bum anymore, as it was very active. And we'll talk to Fletcher about that. Jameis Winston inking his contract with the New Orleans Saints for the next couple of years. We will talk to him about his reaction of Winston staying on with New Orleans. Anybody see Ron Higgins' tweet go viral yesterday? As Ron Higgins, who is now over at Tiger Details, right? He's now.
I think so. You would think he still is in like the 1920s with a little presser hat and wearing a suit to a baseball game. The way he talks about what his profession is. Will Joseph, Ron Higgins, and Scott Rabelais getting on student media is such a bad look. I agree. This is a tweet yesterday that Ron Higgins put out. If we want to pull that tweet up.
It
got so ratioed.
super viral.
It got so ratioed.
It went super viral yesterday as Ron Higgins was
big deadline guy
pointing out to a couple of student media guys or student media workers via social media. I think that's the part. That's the part that got him. And Ron is now fallen into the hole of responding to every single tweet that comes his way after people have quote tweeted Ron and really gone at him. Ron tweeted yesterday at 11:44 p.m.
The deadline.
Ron caught the urge at 11:44 p.m. last night. Note to student journalists. Or excuse me, this is 2 nights ago. Note to student journalists, when you are giving a press credential to cover a sporting event, you are no longer a student. You are working media. So at a post-game press conference, you don't thank the players on the podium for what y'all did for the program and the school.
Be objective. I never liked sports ever in my entire life.
So God Ron has spoken to the media as
from his ivory tower.
He slams down the gavel on his press table and tells all the media members how they need to act moving forward. When I think that this is a great representation of just how
out of touch
the dark ages of media is so dead and gone. If you have seen the reaction to Ron Higgins' tweet yesterday, pardon my take.
Yeah.
Barstool Sports' most popular property and podcast has invited Ron on to come on.
Please do it, Ron.
Just do it, Ron.
It's exactly what you think.
It's exactly what you need.
Yes.
It's exactly
what
your
he
brand.
won't get it. He won't understand it.
I know, but then the world will see and hopefully can break down for Ron. Just not to take this stuff so serious. And it has gone completely viral and blown up, I believe, in Ron's face but I don't even know if Ron still I don't think he understands it.
No chance. He will die on this hill.
As he has continued to go back and forth. But it was a bad look. It was a bad look to tweet that out rather than just pull him aside. Because I
pull him aside? I don't even understand why you have to say anything. Look,
man, if you're an old school guy
I get that.
And you want to be that guy in the press room, right?
Yeah. What? Wait, you're ODing on Diet Coke and free food from the concession stand?
If you want to be that person and that character, which I think there's room for that in every room. Everybody's got one that I told you.
The wettest blanket.
Exactly. Back in my day, guy. Right?
Right.
So, I mean, this was after the women's game the other night when I believe a question came from the Reveille or from Tiger TV, and they thanked them for the way that they represented the school and just how much fun and the season was, which I kind of thought it was an endearing moment to the press conference.
Imagine,
right?
Well, because they covered LSU basketball the season before, LSU women's basketball the season before, and you know how probably painstaking that was because they're terrible, and you still have to go to every single game, and then for it to flip in 1 year, and you actually enjoyed covering it again and seeing what they did for the program and to build life back into LSU women's basketball. I think that's totally warranted to say, hey, thank you for what you did. It took 5 seconds, but Ron's on the deadline. Watch out now.
Hayden Paris, is Jordy the next Ron Higgins? God, I hope not, Hayden. Look at PFT concert, dude. It's blown up in Ronnie's face for sure. I knew that Ron wasn't going to get it the morning that we brought him on after what game was it? Was it the Florida game, the Auburn game? I think it was the Auburn game when Ron asked a question about a couple of over the backs to Will Wade, and Wade kind of jumped at him through the microphone into the team. You think so, Ron?
You think so, Ron?
You think so, Ron?
Looks like they missed a couple questionable fouls. Well, you think so, Ron?
And we tried to
play into it.
We tried to play into it the next morning, and he never budged. He never saw it.
No, then he went on.
Never got it.
Then he stuck around after the joke fell right in our lap. Suey Award. It just landed right in us. We were just like, oh my God.
Swimming in it.
Dude, we were just looking at each other going, Ron kept stretching it. And we got to the point where we're about 10 minutes in on this interview, okay, how can we pull the plug? Then Ron starts giving his takes about LSU basketball needs to make more free throws. And we're like, okay, so you are the oldest journalism ever of all time, because that's the one trope everybody can die on whenever you don't really like basketball that much. Well, free throws are free. And I was like, thanks, Ron. A lot of hot takes coming from you. So we'll go to break.
Deadline.
You want to stick around for another segment, Ron?
All right, we're going to talk to Fletcher Mackel coming up here in about 8 minutes as we'll get the latest from Fletcher coming up from New Orleans, what his thoughts are on a lot of the movement, a lot of the stories coming out of there. But we also saw some contract details from other coaches on LSU's campus, including Brian Kelly, 10-year, $95 million contract. Incentives on that contract obviously need to be met from a performance standpoint. It is an agreed-upon deal that, looking at all of the details, will make it extremely hard for the program to move on from Kelly if expectations are not met. No, they are committed to Brian Kelly. And then, of course, Kim Mulkey's contract, 8-year contract, according to the terms put out yesterday between the school and Mulkey, which is going to start her at about $2.5 million a year. Mulkey's salary will increase every year to about 3.3 by the end of the deal, which runs through 2029. And Jay Johnson inked a 5-year deal, which will pay him $6.5 million total before incentives by the end of those 5 years. So all those contract details put out yesterday after we learned about the latest from Matt McMahon's contract, which went public yesterday as well. We'll also talk to Fletcher Mackel about Terron Armstead moving on. Ton of cash for the Miami Dolphins as Miami opened the bank. $87.5 million they paid Terron Armstead, including 43.3 of that guaranteed to the big left tackle from New Orleans. Saints were trying to hang around in this discussion, but it seemed inevitable that they were going to lose him once that big offer came through, and it looked like either Cincinnati was going to make the offer or Miami was going to make the offer. Lyle Collins inks with Cincinnati. Terron Armstead goes down to Miami. He does it for a ton of cash, so good for Armstead to get his money on the way out after a really good run with New Orleans.
Yeah, and our guy Nick Underhill tweeted out a bunch of stuff about Terron Armstead and how tough he was and all of it, like his injury history, but still playing through it. But I thought the most interesting thing was Terron was hanging around to see if the Saints signed Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Whenever they didn't, he skated. So I don't know what that says about, maybe his faith in what, Jameis brings to the table, playing with him and blocking for him for, I guess, half a year. Or just the fact that, all right, this cash is too much to pass up on. I'll go try my luck down in Miami and live in Miami.
I don't know how you read into that.
Right. He would have had to take it a much more team-friendly deal if Deshaun comes over.
Deshaun feels like a tier ahead of Winston now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get that.
I think that they probably look at him as a championship-level quarterback. I don't know how to read into that other than getting that money, man.
Yeah. Tua is an left-handed quarterback. It's easier for me.
That's right. Get that money. Remember, we're brought to you by Kayshon Ready Mix. Kayshon Ready Mix Concrete. Get online at CajunRMC.com. CajunRMC.com. Get in touch with our friends over there at Kayshon Ready Mix, as they can help you out on any project that you need, no matter too big, too small. They can help you out. Industrial, residential, commercial, municipal. CajunRMC.com. Kayshon Ready Mix provides ready mix concrete products and services to meet all of your concrete needs. Get them online, CajunRMC.com. 9 plants around the greater Baton Rouge area, which means if you order concrete, it'll get to you on time and to the exact specification. High-quality products, red carpet service, clear safety standards, all of that met over at Kayshon Ready Mix Concrete. When we come back, we'll have Fletcher Mackel from down in New Orleans. He'll be giving us the latest on New Orleans sports. We'll ask him an update on the tornado that ripped through there last night. Hopefully everybody's safe and sound. It was a spooky image that came out of New Orleans last night. And then Zion jumping, Terron Armstead down to South Beach, Jameis Winston inking in New Orleans. What is the latest? All coming up from Fletcher Mackel next year. Oof, look
That's
at
terrifying.
that. Good Lord.
That's
man.
movie quality.
That feels like a movie. We'll be back. More of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you daily by Morales Roll-Offs. Morales Roll-Offs provides dumpster rentals for residential and commercial needs in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Morales has roll-off dumpsters ranging from 10 yards to 40 yards to accommodate all of your disposal needs. Search online, moralesrolloffs.com.
Do you have questions about your finances? Are you looking for recommendations from a skilled financial advisor? Get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones. You can find him easily by logging online and shooting him an email at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. That is daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Whether it is help with your 401k or just fiscal advice heading into the new season, get in touch with Daniel today. Best way to do it? Email him, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's our experienced financial advisor. Let him be yours, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show. We live on this Wednesday. Carpool Queen in here on the set for the second hour. We will talk to Kayshon Boutte. Will be here at 8:30 this morning as top wide receiver in college football. Will be in studio. We'll ask him about his injury, getting ready for spring football, his impressions of Brian Kelly. Let's jump down to New Orleans with Fletcher Mackel, who is our friend from WDSU. Scary scene down in New Orleans last night as we were watching over here in Baton Rouge and seeing some of the social media images that were popping up in the tornado that had formed over St. Bernard Parish and what looked like the lower Ninth Ward. Almost looked like a movie script. It looked like a feature in Hollywood, but it was not. Our friend Fletcher Mackel was down, boots on the ground, chasing it for WDSU. And lucky enough, we are talking to him this morning after what I'd imagine is a pretty hectic night. Fletch, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, it was a tough scene. For I think like for a lot of people in Southeast Louisiana, I cover sports, but whenever there's a weather emergency or a breaking emergency, they throw a lot of us onto it. And so I was doing sports last night, and they said we need everybody, all hands on deck. So they sent me to Araby in St. Bernard Parish, and that was kind of ground zero for that tornado, and it was pretty rough. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that if you're people listening and watching you right now, want to help out, they're going to need some help in St. Bernard Parish because it was school buses overturned, houses. I mean, we don't see that kind of damage in storms here. Water damage, structural damage, but it's really, it's pretty jaw dropping and sad when you see what a powerful tornado can do. And the people there are definitely going to need help from everybody who can help in some way.
It was it looked devastating. It looked terrifying. Once some of that stuff starts to pop up, if there is any way that we can help, please share any links or anything, and we'll make sure and put on our social media so everybody can get involved and help the people of St. Bernard Parish and people affected by that storm. And glad that you are here this morning and able to talk about it, because it looked very, very eerie through the images that we were seeing. No easy way to transition from a story like that into the world of sports, but the world of sports is very popular now down in the city of New Orleans, with a lot of stuff happening around the Saints, Pelicans. But I want to start real quick, Fletch, and get your thoughts, because you're a lifetime New Orleanian and understand the city as good as anybody that covers it. Loyola, the basketball team, we had Coach Stacey Hollowell on yesterday at 8:15, and he was talking about the opportunity that the Wolfpack had last night in playing for a national championship for the first time at the NAIA level since 1945, and they go in there and complete a 38-1 season run and win the national championship. It's incredible to see the support that Coach Hollowell has for the program from people like John Brady and Tim Floyd and Coach Giorlando, who have all been there. But after that interview yesterday, we had text messages and tweets of people from down in New Orleans who had played for the program, covered the program, that were thankful for us to bring Coach Hollowell on. But what about that accomplishment last night for the Wolfpack?
It was pretty special. And look, I'm a Loyola graduate. My brother and I played baseball at Loyola. So it was really special for me because, I was there when that program, not right when it was starting in the early 90s, but in the late 90s. And to see how far they've come, 20 Division I sports, and really good in a lot of them at the NAIA level. But to get to the top of the mountain like that, to build a program and to see it reach, these heights is pretty special. Stacey's a Mandeville guy who's traveled all over the world coaching in some crazy foreign outposts, but he's done a really great job of recruiting the right players, because it's not an easy place to win. They don't get academic waivers. So everybody that is there has to have certain academic requirements. And it's hard to build at the NAIA level. I mean, a lot of kids want to go to Division I, and so to get that kind of talent at the NAIA level, and they have that kind of sustained winning, because this isn't, he got a bunch of transfers, guys who weren't happy at D1, and they just parachuted into his program. These guys like Zach Reitzel and Miles Burns have been there 4 years, and these guys are going to get a chance to maybe play overseas or in a smaller pro league. That's how good they are. So it was a tremendous accomplishment for Loyola. 1945 was the last time they won, 77 years.
Wow.
Bob Hope was the most popular American back in 1945.
Wow.
I did a whole bunch of trivia yesterday during the 6 o'clock news. A really great accomplishment for Loyola Wolfpack, especially for somebody like me who graduated and was part of the athletic department. Just a lot of proud New Orleanians here to see this little school uptown that we don't talk about a lot getting a lot of well-deserved recognition.
It was a cool story. It was cool to talk to Coach Stacey Hollowell yesterday, as you could hear just kind of the journey and the pride that he had in playing in that game last night. Before we get to the Saints news, Terron Armstead signing with Miami, Jameis Winston inking his contract with back in New Orleans. Zion last night broke the internet with a dunk that looked like he was a little bit more ready to play than people had thought he was down in the city. Fletch, when you saw that video for the first time, what was your instant reaction?
Utter in complete shock, in disbelief. And I spoke with people in the organization yesterday after you broke the story, you tweeted it, and you said a video was coming. I immediately saw that and sent it to, I can't name names, but people in the organization, and they are not low-level people in the organization.
No.
And I got text back like, news to me, have no idea what that's about. So it was pretty jaw-dropping to see. Look, I've been to 3 practices since he returned from Portland, and he doesn't do anything. He doesn't run. He doesn't jump. He doesn't cut. He does stationary shooting with Teresa Weatherspoon, the assistant coach, after the practices, and we see nothing like that. So I think a lot of people thought, is that from yesterday, or is this like a stock dunk that he took 2 years ago? But as somebody pointed out, he's wearing his brand new Zion Jordan brand shoes. So it certainly looks new, and it's probably yesterday. But I think, and this is probably where we'll go with this, there is a major disconnect between Zion and the organization. And this just continues to prove that, because I think we have heard and we have been told that he was not going to play this year, or the odds of him playing this year seemed like slim and none. But you see a dunk like that yesterday, and you think, well, that guy doesn't look like he's that far away. If he's doing through the leg windmill dunks after practice, his foot certainly seems like it's healing. So how long before he can do some 3-on-3, 5-on-5, and he can maybe help this team in the final 10 games? I think there's going to be a lot of questions the next time head coach Willie Green meets the media, which may be today. If not, it will definitely be tomorrow before they play the Chicago Bulls.
Fletch, you've been on the front line of this story. When did this start? When did you first start to feel like, is everybody on the same page?
So I think that we all thought they were on the same page. Look, Zion, there were rumblings and grumblings, if you'll remember, when the Pelicans won the lottery back in May of 2019, and they beat the odds. They were supposed to pick 6. They win the lottery. They're number 1. The Knicks had the best odds to win the lottery. Reportedly, that's where Zion wanted to go. There were all the rumblings and grumblings. He'll go back to Duke. He won't play. But his stepfather, Lee Anderson, put a lot of that to rest, saying Zion wants to be in New Orleans. Zion wants to come to New Orleans. Zion wants to build something in New Orleans. So everybody seemed to believe that things were copacetic for a long time. I think where things went sideways, or started to go sideways, was when Zion suffered a meniscus tear in his knee in training camp right before the season started, preseason games 2019. And everybody was told the meniscus tear is going to be 4 to 6 weeks max. It turned into like 14 weeks. And then when he came back, they did those 5-minute bursts, almost like a show pony. Like, he's going to play 5 minutes, then he's going to sit for 10. He's going to play 5 minutes. It didn't matter what was going on in the game. He played 5-minute bursts up to about 15 or 20 minutes, and that's it. And I think that is where the fracture started with Aaron Nelson, who's the renowned trainer for the New Orleans Pelicans. He was a longtime trainer for the Phoenix Suns. Guys like Shaq and Steve Nash and Grant Hill credit him extending their careers. But Aaron Nelson and David Griffin and Zion and his stepfather, I think that's where the first crack started. And then since then, look, the organization has made some bad decisions, hiring Stan Van Gundy. The players they put around Zion the first 2 years didn't fit. But in year 3, it seems like David Griffin and his team, Trajan Langdon, the GM, got it right. Willie Green's the right coach. Jonas Valanciunas is the right big man. The right Herb Jones is the right rookie. I mean, they've done the right things. But I think Zion, after 2 years of unhappiness with decisions regarding the trainer, how to handle his health, the coaching staff, the players, I'm not quite so sure that he's engaged anymore. And I think this latest foot injury, I think Zion is doing his own thing, handling his foot injury is what I've been told. The team wanted him to have another procedure, I was told, or recommended another procedure back in January. He broke his foot in July. They thought he may be ready for the start of the season. The bone wasn't healing properly. I was told that people in the Pelicans organization thought, go ahead and have the second procedure, get it done right, and sit out this season. Then that's when Zion and his camp felt like, no, I can play. And that's when he went to Portland on his own to work out and do his own thing. And then he came back a few weeks ago and hasn't done much at practice until, as you said, the video that broke the internet yesterday. So that's kind of the timeline of how things got to where they are right now. And I have been told that the relationship is not very good between Zion and the organization right now. If you'll notice this too, for the people that go to games or pay attention during games, when they have timeouts, Zion, while he is watching the game and cheering on the dunks, whenever they have timeouts, Brandon Ingram, who's also been injured, immediately goes to the huddle in the players. Zion basically kind of drifts back and talks to the ball boys and isn't really in the huddle or engaged with the team. So again, I just think there's some issues under the surface right now that a lot of people know about, but people aren't talking enough about.
Whose fault is it? Whose feet does this fall out, in your opinion?
So I'll say this again. I use the term, and it's a cliche, but a lot of dirty hands. Yeah. I think the first 2 years, and look, and I believe in David Griffin. I'm one of the people who has said, give him a chance. So I do think the first 2 years, though, you got this generational talent. You kept Alvin Gentry when you could have kind of cleaned house and rebooted the entire organization. He kept Alvin Gentry, then he fired him. That was a mistake. He brought in Sam Van Gundy, which was a huge mistake. He brought in Derek Favors, didn't fit. Steven Adams, didn't fit. Eric Bledsoe, terrible fit. They drafted poorly. Nikhil Alexander-Walker has not fit. Didi Louzada never became anything. So early on, it was David Griffin swinging and missing a lot, getting this generational talent and misfiring on coaches and players around him. J.J. Redick was just, look, at one time, I liked J.J. He was a good player, but he wasn't the same player when he was here. Yeah. And then he obviously became disenfranchised with the organization. So I think early it was David Griffin. But to his credit, he ripped the Band-Aid off pretty quickly. And he moved on from coaches after 1 year. And he moved on from some of those players pretty quickly. And it took him a couple of years. But again, like I alluded to earlier, I think he got it right. But I think now that he's gotten it right, I unfortunately believe Zion, his father, and some of his handlers have basically gotten into their heads. Maybe this isn't for us anymore. Maybe this organization isn't where we want to be. And I think that maybe it could be irreparable at this point. And so again, I think, is there one polarizing moment, lightning rod person that you say, this is it, that's when it happened? No. It unfortunately grew over 3 years. And I think that it's something I would be shocked if they can repair it. I would love to see them repair it this summer. Zion come back, this roster healthy with CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram and Zion and Herb Jones and Jonas and the guys they have off the bench. I don't know if we're ever going to get to see that dream, but it's going to make for an interesting offseason, I can tell you that.
Do you think they make the playoffs?
I think they make the play in.
Yeah.
So again, before the bubble, the top 8 made the playoffs. I mean, right now, they're 5 games behind the 8th seed with 9 to go. So, again, in any other year, I would say no, we'd be looking towards next season. But the NBA added the play in, and I like it. It keeps teams that are 9 through 12 interested. So I think they're going to finish 9 or 10, and that would give them at least one, potentially 2, 1 game, 9 plays 10, and if they win, they would play the loser of 7, 8. So I think they're going to get into the play in and get at least 1 game, probably against the Lakers, which will be fantastic because there'll be so much attention since it's LeBron and the Lakers in the play in, which is just unbelievable. But I think they're going to get to either 9 or 10 and get at least a 1 game play in. I don't know if they win 2 1-game winner take all play in games and get to the actual playoffs now.
Fletcher Mackel joining us here talking New Orleans. That's a little bit on Zion and the Pelicans. We touched on Loyola, the Wolfpack winning the NAIA National Championship last night. First one since 1945 as Coach Stacey Hollowell was here yesterday morning getting the prepared for that game. They were able to take care of it last night. On to the New Orleans Saints. Let's go to Terron Armstead first. His run comes to an end after he inks a big free agent deal with Miami with $43.5 million guaranteed on his deal that was inked for a total of $87.5 million over the next 5 years. What did you think about this deal? How likely did you think that he was going to come back over the last couple of days?
Well, I think over the last couple of days, I felt like it was inevitable he was leaving. And the loss is bigger than just on the field. This is one of the true good guys in all of sports. I mean, this is a guy who is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, one of the best leaders in the locker room they'll ever have. And a guy who's truly invested in the community. I mean, this is a guy who's opened literacy centers throughout New Orleans to help people, adults learn how to read that never got a proper education, young people who may be struggling in school. So this is someone who isn't celebrated enough, not only in New Orleans, but in Southeast Louisiana for what he's done off the field. But while he's a quiet and stoic voice, he's a strong voice in that locker room, and they are losing a tremendous leader in locker room anchor. But on the field as well, I mean, look, I know in recent years he has dealt with injuries, and that's always been the knock on him, is that when he's healthy, he's one of the 3 to 5 best left tackles in all of football, no doubt about it. But he has dealt with injury issues. The old school Saints fans have already texted me, yeah, this will be the game he plays season he plays 17 games. And of course, probably you leave New Orleans and everybody thinks you're all of a sudden, going to be the best version of yourself. That's to me a very old school mindset, but watch, it'll be true. But it's the loss. And I think more, because look, the money is monopoly money. He had to take it. Even the Saints couldn't have given him a deal like that. But here's why it's a bad look, in my opinion. Terron Armstead, free agency started a week ago. Terron Armstead, the negotiating period started 10 days ago. Monday going back a week, okay? This was one of the 5 best free agents on the market. The Bengals needed protectors for Joe Burrow. We knew that protecting the quarterback is at a premium. And this is a guy who protects the quarterback at a high level. We knew day one he could have gotten a big deal. He waited to see if the Saints could get Deshaun Watson. He reportedly, from strong sources, he reportedly waited to see if the Saints could get Deshaun Watson, knowing that they have a top 10 defense, a running back in his prime, a strong offensive line. Let's take away all the off-the-field circumstances of football decisions. Deshaun Watson makes you a true Super Bowl contender in the NFC on even footing with the Rams, the Packers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, certainly in front of the Cowboys at this point. So you're one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the NFC. So Terron waited. And then when Deshaun goes to Cleveland, Terron then schedules visits with Miami, one of the last teams with crazy cap space in need of a protector for Tua Tagovailoa on that offensive line, and he bolts. So it's a bad look to me for the New Orleans Saints, because it says one of the guys that you drafted and developed, drafted him in 2013, developed him out of Arkansas Pine Bluff, helped turn him into a 3-time Pro Bowler. That says maybe he doesn't believe you're a Super Bowl champion. Now, I know the money is a huge factor, but he was waiting to maybe see and sacrifice the money if he felt like they could truly win a ring. And so he is basically saying, I don't think this team can win a ring this year. Yeah. So that, to me, is the biggest blow to the New Orleans Saints.
Before we get to Jameis, one of the things that looks like it's been rated is not the high-end part of the roster, but the depth. You may not see it. Am I right in assessing that it just kind of looks like they've been picked away? Kind of dig into the depth chart, you start to see that they're not as deep as they have been in the last couple of seasons.
Let me say this: that was the problem last year. Last year, for the people like watching and listening right now, and again, we have a well-educated football fan base here, so a lot of people already know this. Last year, the salary cap went down because of COVID, because the owners lost money when they had to go dark in their stadiums and play fanless for the majority of the season, or with very limited fans. The salary cap actually went down for the first time in a decade. So that affected the Saints in a great way. And the Saints had to cut guys like not only Janoris Jenkins, but Emmanuel Sanders, but guys like you're talking about. You don't think Will Easton's important on the offensive line until you need a really good backup offensive lineman like Nick Easton. You don't think having a guy like Emmanuel Sanders, oh, yeah, he's a really good number 2. People go, but Mike Thomas is number 1. He's number 2. Well, when you don't have your number 1 and you cut your number 2, and Marquez Callaway, who's at best number 3 or 4, is your number 1 receiver, you're right. All the depth was eroded because of the salary cap issues last year, and the depth has been continued, or it's eroded and continued to erode again this season. So I think you're right that at the top end, they're talented. We know, Eric McCoy is a stud at center. He's one of the 10 best centers in the NFL. Ryan McCoy is one of the 5 best right tackles. Alvin Kamara is one of the 5 to 7 best running backs and probably the most versatile running back. Yeah. You're right. You can name the stars, but as you get down, that's where the Saints have been. That's what made them good from 17 to 20 and made them a legit Super Bowl contender. Is they drafted so well, they had good players on good contracts, and they never had any bumps, be it injury or depth issues. They could replace a struggling starter, or they could slide somebody in due to injury, and that wasn't the case last year, and we saw it, and it hurt them, and it could potentially be the case again this year. We'll see.
What was your reaction to Winston's terms of the deal and him being the guy for the next 2 seasons, at least foreseeable?
I mean, at this point, it was musical chairs, and the music was getting ready to stop yet again. There weren't many options out there. I mean, we all know. I mean, the Saints admitted they went hard after Deshaun Watson. I mean, they had 2 visits with him. They flew to Houston, then team owner Gail Benson for a second meeting, flew with Mickey Loomis, the general manager, head coach Dennis Allen, to Atlanta to meet with him. So we know who they wanted. They wanted Deshaun Watson. And I'm pretty sure they probably kicked the tires on some other quarterbacks be that Jimmy Garoppolo, and maybe the price was too high. But at the end of the day, I think everybody knew, Jameis is the fallback, and they've gone with the fallback. It's basically a 1-year deal. It's called 2 years and $28 million, but it's $21 million guaranteed. So basically, they've got Jameis. And look, I think this is probably the best decision for both parties. Yeah. The Saints like Jameis, but they don't want to commit to him long term. I know people say he went 5-2. Well, let's say this. He really went 4-2 because he got hurt very early in the second quarter against Tampa. And Trevor Siemian in the defense basically led them to that 5th win. And yes, he threw 14 touchdowns against 3 interceptions. But the offense was 29th in passing in Jameis' starts. And the passing offense was 30th out of 32. So, and you can spin things any ways you want. Did they have enough receivers? Did Sean Payton kind of keep Jameis guarded and protective and not let him open up because he was afraid of the turnovers? All those things are certainly in the realm of possibility, but the facts are this. Jameis had no other market out there. Indianapolis was interested probably if they couldn't get Matt Ryan. They got Matt Ryan. The Saints were interested if they couldn't get Deshaun Watson or potentially another big-name quarterback or someone they wanted to invest in long-term. Jameis, I'm sure, is a little bit bruised ego because he wanted more security. He wanted more long-term deals. He wanted that Teddy deal. Teddy Bridgewater a few years ago went 5-0 for the Saints. Carolina gave him 3 years, $60 million with $40 million guaranteed. Jameis didn't get that deal. So I think that Jameis should show up, I hope, with a chip on his shoulder, knowing people still don't believe in me. Let me be on a playoff team with a good offensive line, a number 1 receiver coming back, and a good running back. In one more year, if I really step up and I've become the man people think I am, and I've become the player people think that I can be, well, my big payday is coming next year. What I don't like is a lot of people making excuses or kind of some of these crazy stories is if Jameis had some robust market. Like, to me, I'm in a business of seek the truth. Seek the truth. Yeah. The Saints wanted somebody else. Jameis is their fallback. Jameis is a good quarterback, but nobody's ready to invest in him long term, and he should embrace that. And so we'll see what happens. I certainly, could paint the picture that the best is yet to come. Another year in this offense as the starter is gonna bode well for him. And the Saints are a playoff caliber team, and we'll see where it goes. I could also say if they cut him loose, we could see 30 interceptions like we saw the last time he was a starter. I still think it's the great unknown. The sample size we saw last year, you can spin it any way you want, but it is what it is. Jameis is the quarterback, and Saints fans are going to hope for the best, I assume.
Good stuff this morning, Fletch. 25 minutes, man. Thank you for your time. I know it's a lot going on in the city, and there's a lot of stuff happening this morning, so thank you for spending this time with us and giving us great information.
I appreciate it. Every time you say that, it just makes me think at some point I've just got to learn to shut the hell up because you put the stopwatch on me and say that, and I'm like, man, 25 minutes felt like 5 minutes. So thank you for tolerating me for that long with my raspy voice.
No, that's a compliment to us, man, because that was great information. We appreciate it. Thank you again. We'll talk soon.
All right,
man. There is Fletcher Mackel checking in as he gives the latest on what's going on down in New Orleans. Kayshon Boutte is set to come in studio with us just after we get back here. Remember, we're brought to you by City Cafe. CityCafeBR.net is where you can find them online. They have lunch specials every single day over at City Cafe. City Cafe brunch at 10 a.m. Every Sunday. You can find them over on O'Neill and George O'Neill. Get in touch with our friends over at City Cafe, where they've been in business for over 100 years. 100 years in business. CityCafeBR.net. CityCafeBR.net is where you can find them online. We'll be back. Kayshon Boutte, best wide receiver in college football, in studio with us next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Lloyd, I don't think.
Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you daily by Morales Roll-Offs. Morales Roll-Offs provides dumpster rentals for residential and commercial needs in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Morales has roll-off dumpsters ranging from 10 yards to 40 yards to accommodate all of your disposal needs. Search online, moralesrolloffs.com.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Wednesday. As appreciate Fletcher Mackel for stopping by and talking a little New Orleans sports with us. Saints signed Jameis Winston. Terron Armstead signing a big free agent deal with the Miami Dolphins. We switched from the NFL to college football to what we believe to be the best player in the sport, Kayshon Boutte, out of Lafayette area. Over there, and is now New Iberia. My bad, bro. And is now going into his money season as what we believe the best player in the sport, and is now coming back to LSU. Got the boot on this morning, but making really good strides in rehab and should be ready to go once the fall comes around. It is good to see Uno on set this morning. We welcome aboard Kayshon Boutte, who is representing Gordon McKernan and Raising Cane's this morning. My man is all over the place. How are you? Good morning.
I'm doing great this morning. It's a pleasure to be here with y'all doing this interview.
Absolutely. Let's get it started. Tell me what the last couple of months have been like, because it's probably been a little bit more business than football, right? The NIL stuff. You've been doing the rehab. You've been trying to get right physically. Kind of where are you in getting ready for next season?
You see, so I've been doing a lot of rehab now. The last month been kind of crazy. You know, I couldn't walk. I was on a scooter. Back to that process way back when I was hurt in October. But it been more business than stuff like that. So I say a lot of NIL came into play, a couple of deals, all kind of different things. So I kind of say I've been a busy man lately, but it ain't been too bad. Nothing I can't really handle.
How's that been? How has that been kind of shifting your focus from star player to understanding the business of what Kayshon Boutte is now?
I mean, at some point in time, you doing what's best for you. So I knew football wasn't going to be nothing I was going to be able to do until a couple months down the line. So I was focusing more on business, making my money now, a little bit now, but nothing compared to in a couple of years.
Or a year from now, buddy. It'll be looking totally different in the bank account. But our guy Gordon McKernan stepped up, really. I mean, there was a lot, Kay, you and I were talking about a lot of anxiety around here that you were going to leave and you were going somewhere else, and people were dreading and having nightmares of you catching passes for Alabama or Texas A&M or Texas or somebody like that. And, look, they were making you think. What was that part of the process like? And then Gordon, of course, really, you were kind of the key figure, the first that he stood up and really kind of, showed that his love for LSU. And a lot of people looked at it by you and him striking the deal and, really kind of securing you of being comfortable at LSU for what is probably going to be your final season.
It was just a lot going on towards December, January, and I was kind of questioning the the new people coming in and whether they could get the job done or not and stuff like that. And I kind of talked with different people throughout the area, and Garden kind of made it happen. And then as time went on, I kind of trusted and believed that the new people coming in would make everything right. And I say now we in March, and I still believe that, so that's a good thing.
Let's get there. Tell me about the new people, man. What's been your impressions of Brian Kelly? What's been your impressions of Cortez Hankton, of Mike Denbrock, all of these guys who I know, you were high on the priority list of making sure that you guys had relationships. What's that been like?
Coach Kelly really don't talk much, but as to everybody else, I feel like everybody got a good plan. Coach Hank taking care of us, showing us the right things, teaching us. You mean, I'm hurt right now, but shit, I'm still learning from him. You can learn something new from him every day. That's one thing I could say. And everybody else, everybody learning the system, trying to make sure everybody on the same track.
You probably like that Brian Kelly is a little low key, huh?
Yeah.
That's kind of your style, right?
Yeah.
What are you looking to improve on in between your sophomore and junior season? What is your points of emphasis of trying to improve your game?
Shit, you can improve everything. Route running, literally everything.
Anybody,
catching, route running, everything.
Anybody you watching, anybody you working with in the off season? I know that you can't do the physical work. Do you dive into more film on something like this to try and work on technique?
I mean, shit, you watch a little film from time to time. I watch myself kind of criticize things I did last season and I could do better this season. And I say off season, I'll probably train in Miami. So, just whoever you run into.
We had a chance to meet Kyren Lacy yesterday. He says that you took him under your wing when he got here. Seems like a pretty special dude, a leader, if for nothing else. I mean, his mindset seems to be in the right place. What do you think about him, and what do you think about the rest of these young wide receivers in this room that you're working next to? Because it's a very talented group.
So, I mean, the year we had last year, I kind of knew that we needed somebody to step up. So when he first got here, I was like, all right, I'm going to build a relationship with him because, I mean, it's all about relationships. You don't want to just play football and not know nothing about a person. So, I mean, the first day he literally got here, we went eat to Raúl's, talked a little bit, asked him how UL was. They been winning a lot over there. Shit, we ain't been winning too much over here. Like I say, since I've been here, my record been 11-12. Like I lost more than I won.
Unbelievable.
Trying to win just like him. And for him to come here from a winning program, I know it means a lot to him. So just trying to put him on the same track.
What do you think about your quarterback room? It seems like you guys got some options there. You pick up Jaden Daniels out for Arizona State. Miles is coming back. Garrett's another year older. And then, Walker Howard was the best quarterback in high school football last year. What do you think about that room?
Quarterback room kind of packed. All I got to say is going to be a competition.
He knows the company line. He's been fed the company line.
After what Lacy said, yeah.
How about these DBs? Because, I mean, you're going to have to sharpen these skills. It's not you and Stingley anymore out there going, pro on pro. You're kind of the big dog out there now. What do you see from these DBs?
Shit, I've been seeing they've been working a lot, but when spring ball come, I'm not playing spring, so I get to watch the other guys. Well, I'm rocking with the receivers, so I get to watch my receivers doing bad, and then when I get back summer, you just know how it go.
I love you at number 1, bro, but a lot of people are saying you're gonna be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
You do?
Okay.
Yeah,
so you would change the number?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
If I was asked, I would.
What number? If you got to the league, when you get to the league, and they tell you, "Okay, you can have any number you want," what would you pick?
1.
1. So 1 is the number.
Yeah, 1 is the
number. So you just want to wear 7 at LSU this year?
Yeah, because not too many people get to wear it.
That's good. What are your expectations for yourself? I know what I think that you're going to win the Biletnikoff. What do you think you're going to do?
I'll say 1,200 plus yards, 15 touchdowns, and the Biletnikoff.
Is there anybody on a defensive backfield in the SEC that keeps you motivated this offseason? Is there a cornerback? Is there somebody that you think is going to give you a great challenge this year? Is there a matchup that you're looking forward to?
And maybe you've played against or practiced against already.
Me and Eli Rich, back to back. We just do it every day. It's like practice. It's like practice days, except now we on TV, 2 separate teams.
Has the shit talking already started?
No, cool. Okay. It's not no bad talking.
It's crazy. You mentioned your record. What was your record at LSU?
11-12.
And y'all's class is so damn talented, right? Like your recruit, like Mason Smith is in that class, and you had Eli was in that class. What's the what's kind of the motivation for y'all's group this year? Because it seems like they've done a really good job of kind of building the roster from a point. I mean, when y'all left the bowl game, it was tough to think what this year was going to look like. But now the roster looks like y'all could be competitive in a lot of games.
But I say for my class, for my 3 and out people, I feel like this year a big year for us. Come in, do what you got to do, and get out. You don't want to be here longer than you need to.
Yeah. How tough is it to play an SEC football schedule?
I mean, it's kind of tough, but at the same time, don't really think about it too much. Football, like personally, I feel like football what I do best. So I know when I go out, I just got to play. I don't be nervous, don't be nothing. Just do what I was taught, and everything gonna fall in line.
Do you talk to Jamar Chase after the year he had? I think that when people see you, they see similarities between your game and his. He was the NFL Rookie of the Year. They went to the Super Bowl. He set rookie records for Cincinnati. Do you have a relationship with him, and how do you guys communicate?
Nah, I never talked to him after the season, but I know during the season I had texted him whenever he had went for like 266 yards on the Chiefs. On the Chiefs, and I was like, great game.
Yeah,
it was a great one.
Anybody you looking up to?
Not really at all.
Do you write down your goals? Because Jordy asked you what you expected to do next year, and you rattled off like specific numbers for yards, for touchdowns, and obviously Biletnikoff. Do you have like something that you write down that you feel like that's what you have to accomplish?
Nah, I didn't write it down. It was just something I put in my head for sure.
This coaching staff, Mike Denbrock, from an offensive standpoint, has he been able to talk to you about what the philosophy is going to be, kind of like what y'all will be doing back? I mean, kind of run past. What are they thinking as far as the scheme may be?
I feel like as we learning now, we kind of learn install 1 and 2. It's kind of a mixture of both, but I'm feeling more pass than more run.
You were there during the transition of Moffitt to Jacob Flint, the strength coach. How has that kind of been? I know that you've not been working out with the injury, but you've kind of been there through the drills. How was that? I mean, Moffitt was such a huge personality for the program and for what LSU football stood for, and now replacing that position. How's Coach Flint?
I like Coach Flint. He coming in with a great plan. All the guys around him making sure everything good. We're doing a lot of flexibility and mobility and stuff like that. Like they actually taking care of us now. So I feel like that's a good thing for everybody. I feel like everybody like it if you ask me.
Yeah. How cool was it to shoot that Super Bowl commercial?
I mean, it was good. Not too many people get to do it at this young age, should I say.
What have you learned from business in this NIL world? What have you learned from somebody like Gordon on this part of the process of, being able to have access to successful business people like you do right now?
It's a lot of stuff you got to do in order to be a businessman. That's one thing I do know. And a lot of places and different things you need to be in order to get done what you need to get done.
Kay, it's always good to catch up with you, man.
Yes, sir.
I know people are expecting a huge season from you. And I know that, it's probably nothing what you compare and want for yourself, but get healthy and have a great year, man. It's great to see you here, and it's good to see you getting healthy.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Compliments of our friend Gordon McKernan over there. Get the G done. Get it done with Gordon McKernan. Kayshon Boutte, of course, represented in an NIL front by G as he's over here representing them. Spring football starts really today as Brian Kelly will meet with the press and get you going for spring football with LSU as that will begin. The on-the-field drills will begin tomorrow, but we will hear from Coach Kelly today. Top player on his team right here in Kayshon Boutte will be out this spring, making sure his ankle gets right for the fall, but should be ready to go once they kick it off versus Florida State inside the Caesars Palace Superdome come late August. As we'll see if he's wearing 1 or if he's wearing 7. Either way, he'll be the best player on the field. It's Kayshon Boutte, compliments of Gordon McKernan. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
The The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you daily by Morales Roll-Offs. Morales Roll-Offs provides dumpster rentals for residential and commercial needs in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Morales has roll-off dumpsters ranging from 10 yards to 40 yards to accommodate all of your disposal needs. Search online, moralesrolloffs.com. The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU, bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU, bluewater.com. Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. Do you have questions about your finances? Are you looking for recommendations from a skilled financial advisor? Get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones. You can find him easily by logging online and shooting him an email at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. That is daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Whether it is help with your 401k or just fiscal advice heading into the new season, get in touch with Daniel today. Best way to do it? Email him, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's our experienced financial advisor. Let him be yours, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 115. Good stuff from Kayshon Boutte, top wide receiver in college football as he swings through here on the at the Noodle here on this Wednesday morning. Good stuff. I appreciate you being out there. Don't forget, Mikey Matuk will be here for Mic'd Up at 11 and 1 o'clock, just like he is every Monday and Wednesday. Make sure and get that set. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel if you have not already done that, and set that notification, and then you'll get the alert as soon as they go live at 11 o'clock this morning for Mic'd Up Monday and Wednesdays here, part of FM Digital Media, as we appreciate Coach or Kayshon for
Coach
stopping
Kayshon.
by.
Coach Kayshon.
There
That
she
was an
is,
awesome
the carpool
interview.
queen. It's been a crazy hour since you got here.
It has been. I thought that was a great interview.
Appreciate it. I thought he was great too. I mean, look, man,
Yeah.
he's just a laid back dude.
Well, it's 8:30 in the morning. He's an athlete, like, you know. I mean,
college student.
Yes, he's tired, but I thought some great quotes out of that. I mean, I was like trying to remember him in my head, all the stuff he was saying. It was great.
Mailbag every Wednesday.
Oh yeah, mailbag.
How we feeling?
have
Stu, you got
any?
any questions?
Yeah.
Hit me up. What we got?
Rico Delgado.
Oh, Rico.
Short guy.
Are you a Kellen Winslow fan? He's asking me if I'm a Kellen Winslow fan.
Easy.
Why do you have
Easy.
why do you have him
Senior, absolutely.
why do you have him as your profile picture? He's talking about my picture on YouTube. But that's a picture of me from high school. That's the only picture that YouTube would let me put as my profile picture.
Damn,
so
bro.
that's why.
He's just trolling you.
Physically, if you get mistaken for Kellen Winslow, that's a hell of a compliment. If you
Yeah.
get mistaken for Kellen Winslow,
It's a rap sheet.
all-
You
you're-
are in
you're-
trouble. I mean, this might be the only
screwed,
place
bro.
you could work. Would be here.
not even here. Not even
That's
here.
where we draw the line.
I mean, he's doing hard time.
Yeah,
I mean, it's funny you put it that way.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
a little bit of both.
What
A little
next?
bit of both.
Long
Brian Burgess,
Easy over there.
I mean, y'all said it.
since his national
Man
chip and
watched porn before the game. That's how he got ready to play.
So
At Miami?
And in Cleveland.
That's weird. Why?
That is weird.
I mean, who wants to tackle a man with a hard on? Yeah, really?
Really?
Wow.
Wait, what?
Is that for public consumption?
I don't think so. Save
put
it
that-
for your show, dude.
Okay. Mic'd up with a huge
Huge
rumor to
deal,
confirm
yeah.
at 11 o'clock this morning. Make sure you're tuned in.
You
have to listen to Mike Up? He
Brian
said that Zion's playing tonight.
Okay.
Brian Burgess, since his national chip and dip day, what's y'all favorite?
Ruffles, and ranch.
The French
Really?
onion? Or
Yeah, the
ranch?
French onion.
French onion?
I thought you just meant straight ranch dressing.
No.
I was like,
That would be
that's
bizarre.
interesting.
That would be.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
Bottoms
Modesto
up.
Dip Trio. Well, I don't know what you're doing. Modesto Dip Trio is the best one you can get.
Yes.
Shout out.
The best.
The best.
In town.
In town.
Pain.
Bar none.
What you got?
I'm a big jalapeno chip guy.
Ooh.
The Lay's.
What's your
Frito-Lay.
dip?
I don't dip.
No
don't
dip.
I'm a
Like
big chip
queso?
guy.
It's dry.
Oh yeah, I like queso. Yeah,
There you go.
Okay.
Guacamole? Was it avocado? Yeah, guacamole.
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Made of
Yeah.
avocados.
Made of avocados.
Cody Boudreaux. Oh, same question. Chip and dip combo. And what do you believe Zion's favorite is?
Some type of zap.
Oh, you think so?
Does he have his own chip yet? That's
Not
probably
yet.
not good marketing.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Terrible marketing for him.
Do like a
Zion's Dorito nachos and cheese.
Yeah. What flavor would his be?
Zion's?
Ranch.
Yeah. I don't know. Just wondered if there are things I don't know what he likes. Don't know a thing about the guy.
We know he likes Mountain Dew.
I
know
he
he's
can-
healthy.
I know he's healthy. He can dunk between his legs.
Right. What else we got?
Another question from Rico. Is Lacy realistically a day one starter at LSU? Tons of talent at wide receiver. Even in a 4 wide receiver set, who would you put in front of him? Especially if Deion Smith is still around.
No, I don't think that he steps into that wide receiver room and becomes a starter just because of, just what you indicate. It's a very talented group. I think the defensive line and the wide receiver room are the most talented groups on LSU's football team right now. And when I look at the starting 4, obviously you got Kayshon 1. I would, at this point, I would put Brian Thomas.
I would say
Two.
Malik Neighbors maybe.
Malik Neighbors, maybe. It depends on where you put Besh, right? I guess Besh is going to have to play tight end on this team just because you don't have one. But I would have Brian
Oh, he is,
Thomas.
'cause Brian Kelly loves tight ends, and so does Den Brock.
Yeah,
He'll
I mean-
be in that.
We got to be able to work the middle of the field. What?
Katie's something wrong with her. Again, she also loves tight ends.
But I mean, he's going to have to play. I mean, somebody's going to have to play. Besh would be the most logical candidate. And I mean, he's out of position.
He's getting bigger,
Yeah, he is.
bulking up for tight end.
I guess so.
He is a tight end.
He
But-
definitely
He has a tight end.
high ass.
I mean, I would think that he plays. I mean, I don't think that he would start though, by any means. What else we got?
Nick Lacascio. Did LSU basketball rush the hire to save the program?
No, I just think that they wanted to get somebody in place to see if they couldn't recruit the program. I mean, they got to get players. If they didn't have a coach and they didn't have a plan, they, I mean, people are going to start fleeing the program. I mean, they're going to be fleeing at a pretty rapid rate. I mean, if they don't have somebody to tell them what's going on or what the future looks like, I mean, it's just people be raiding them.
So kind of, yes.
I don't know if it was to save the long term. I mean, it's save it immediately from just being crippled, which it still may be. I mean, it still may be. I mean,
Because it was certainly the quickest hire he's made in his tenure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it goes. I think that Brian Kelly put together a short list on Ogeron pretty quick after meeting him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think shortly after taking the job, he also put a short list together on basketball because he knew under what, pretense he was taking the gig. I mean, at some point, this might have to happen. I might have to make a move. So I'd imagine that he was pretty out in front of at least having a list together or, knowing which direction he wanted to go if this was to suddenly happen, where it did. It happened in between the conference and postseason tournament. I mean, that's probably the worst time to try and make a coaching hire in basketball.
I mean, yeah, you saw the mass exodus of all of the recruits that now LSU has nobody committed to their basketball team for 2022. Not a single commit, not a single recruit. So I don't know how the first year is going to be so rough. He's got to be.
It's hard.
It does speak volumes about the character of McMahon to come in and take the job. I mean, obviously he was at not a big program, but that would have been easy. I'm sure he wasn't. I don't know if he was the first call that said yes, but I'd imagine that he put some feelers out. And people were like, absolutely. Scott, look at the place. Like, I'm not going to take that job, but McMahon said yes and said yes quickly.
I don't know how big of a turnoff the job was because of the job security and the financial security he was offering.
Yeah, 7 years. That's what you almost had to say. Yeah, you had to do.
You had to do it. You had to put the 7-year on it because, like we said, I mean, even their language that they present in the contract, they still don't know what the future of the program is going to hold. I mean, there's language in there that if you lose so many scholarships for so many years that his year will roll over, he'll get more years. There's also an agreement in there that if they have postseason sanctions for an extended amount of time, that he could get more years. So I mean, that LSU still doesn't even know what the future looks like with the program. So I think that McMahon was the safest, easiest, most buttoned up hire that you could make right now to get out in front of where you're going.
Did you almost say McMahon just then?
No.
I feel like you almost did.
I forgot his last name. And that's why I said Matt. And then I was going to say Mac. But no, it came to me. I've never heard McMahon pronounced
McMahon.
Never.
What if it is, and we're
maybe so?
No, it's not. People are saying McMahon.
But I mean,
him.
but my reference on that would be like Jim
McMahon. Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing I thought.
You know what I mean, so it's not Louisiana and Vince McMahon.
Yeah, it's not. I just know a couple of McMahons is all. So it's almost like, how do you know?
Do you think that
until
those
you hear
people
someone pronounce it?
Their name is.
Maybe they changed it because they were tired. I don't know. Maybe people were pronouncing it like
it's Aber and Hebert.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Herbert.
T-Bob is Hebert.
Yeah.
He's not Justin Herbert is Herbert. So, I mean, really, from a pronunciation standpoint,
it should be Aber.
I mean, you look at T-Bob's last name and you say Hebert, outside of Louisiana.
Well, it's like Richard and Richard.
Yeah.
No, I was saying the people that that are how do you say it?
McMahon.
I think they just kind of. Maybe that they're too far gone, that they've been mispronouncing it their whole life.
I mean,
and they're
that
like,
totally
well, that's how we
be.
say it, and it's my last name.
Yeah,
and
why not?
Why not? I mean, I guess anybody can change their name if you want.
I could be all good. I mean, Jordy thought I was a year ago, so.
You are all good.
What?
All good.
Yeah, I did. But you are all good.
Yeah, all good.
Hunter Hall and the defense support of Will Wade immediately after the interview from you guys was hilarious. You guys need to play that soundbite. Which one?
Which interview?
Wait, I know. Which one?
Saturday?
We're steadily defending Will Wade. Which one are you talking about, Hunter?
After the interview from you guys.
Boot up, for sure.
Do you think you said about Saturday?
Oh, I just went back and listened to that Ron Higgins show. Haha, you guys really allowed him to go on nonstop. It was.
Yes.
We couldn't get a word in.
It was like he had lost a bet. I mean, it was like, see if you can never stop talking, Ron. Ready, go.
Without saying anything.
I mean, and it was like he wasn't breathing.
It was like that.
I mean, it was like it wasn't.
He's on some kind of upper.
I mean, you think so, Ron?
That's what it seems like.
Ron does not take uppers, dude. Ron is as straight edge as they come. I've got a feeling.
You never know.
Constantly on deadline. You got to watch those guys on deadline.
No, he's all hopped up on Diet Coke. I'm telling you, put it right in his veins. That's all that those guys want. And a pulled pork sandwich from the concession stand.
Coffee and nachos, please.
Oh, God.
Gross.
If you've ever been in a press box, you see that's like, there better be more than one bathroom up here for these fellas.
Ew.
They're crushing.
Really?
Ugh.
What about the media guys that show up to the event just to eat the press food?
Absolutely.
like get there like 2.5 hours early and are bitching to the people that are putting
Where's
on the
the
event.
food
Where's
out?
the food at?
No cookies?
What do you mean?
You're out of Diet Coke. Heard all of these things in the press box. It's like, y'all have got to find
A
a
life.
life.
I mean, really?
Well, good Lord.
Really?
Jeez.
It
Ron,
makes their day. if
Ron,
it's
don't
there.
worry about what the kids are doing, man. Don't worry about the kids complimenting their peers at the end of the year.
So
I
bizarre.
mean, don't worry about it.
bizarre.
It's so weird.
Do you think
Especially doing it on social media.
Of all things,
You know what I mean?
pot, meat, kettle. Do you think
Exactly.
that
Matuk, would you ever criticize somebody's swing, a younger guy's swing on social media? Like, let's
Like a
see,
college
Ronnie's
student.
what, 65 to like 25? Oh.
I mean, without going to them first. Like he's saying, like, well, just calling them out on social media, like.
Oh, no, we'll never do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a dick
It was
move.
just like a random video that he was like critiquing.
He was in the same press room. This was after Mulkey and the LSU women's basketball season comes to an end. They're at the press conference, and a kid from the Reveille or Tiger TV asks his question.
Yeah.
And he's like, before he asked the question, he's like, hey, congratulations on a great year. And I'm just telling you, as somebody in the student, we really appreciate the way you represented us, and it looked like you had a really good time. Now my question is, what do you do next? And Higgins hit him with a tweet saying, note to students. Next time you're in the press room and
from
you
the
are
official office of Ron Higgins?
right. Next time you're representing the media in a press room, never, and I mean never, compliment anyone that's on. It's like Ron.
It makes me question the direction of journalism in this, especially at OSU. And
Journalism's
so
dead,
odd.
Ronnie. I mean, Tom Brady, he retired on his Instagram account. He came back on his Twitter account. You know what I mean? Like, everybody can do this now, Ron.
Yeah, if you
Our
have-
job, your job, the media's job is not as important as we think it is at one point. I mean, nobody's coming to the newspaper to find out the breaking news. Nobody's reading the material thinking that, I wonder if Ron, before he asked the question to get this soundbite, complimented Coach Mulkey or not. And if he did, there's no way I'm reading this.
Did y'all,
I
not,
mean-
did y'all not go down a wormhole with the comments, though?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I
gosh.
loved it.
Well, the
I
fact that
mean-
Rabelais hopped on the comments, I
Yes.
thought was, like,
Yes. I was like, what is
they're
happening?
proving their point. Rabs, put the
Yes.
pin down, for God's sake.
God,
was
do you not just see what's
crazy.
happening?
I
How
mean,
are you gonna
step away.
Go away. This man is dying on the hill. Let him die alone.
Yes.
Like, oh, not making that mistake. No,
Yes.
he's trying to revive him.
I know.
And then Ron's like, I'm not doing this anymore. Back to Twitter. Oh, this is the best.
That was the best part.
I'm waiting for him to call us.
Is he going to be at the press conference today?
No doubt. Are you
Somebody,
kidding?
Andrew
He's showing up
Messina.
30 minutes for the food.
Andrew Messina in the chat says Stewie should make a priority to get under
Absolutely.
Ron's skin at the next presser.
Yes.
Do it, Stu. You want a raise?
You should. You should.
First of all, before I ask this question,
You
Coach,
think so, Ron?
I think so.
Hey, Ron, a little etiquette on how I should ask this question before I talk to Coach Kelly about the cornerbacks,
That
if you
would
don't
be
mind.
awesome if you
Or
did
should I
that.
tweet it to you?
Have a good day. Remember, Mic'd Up, 11 to 1 o'clock, coming up on the Mikey Matuk, the Mic'd Up YouTube station. Make sure you are subscribed to get notified for all the content that is coming out of there. Mondays and Wednesdays, 11 and 1 right now. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock here on the Jordy Culotta Show. For the entire crew, signing off. Thanks to Kayshon Boutte and thanks to Fletcher Mackel for stopping by here. But for everybody, Stewie, the Carpool Queen, Lloyd, Brian, Noah, and Matuk will be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
And before we go, I'd just like to thank you, Jordy, for making this an enjoyable work experience. Now to my question. No, actually, thank you, Ron, for the content.
Lloyd, when you speak to me, don't ever turn and face me and look me in the eyes like that
Not
ever
ever
again.
Lower.
If you think you're going to make it in this business, you got a long way to go, buddy. Have a good day.
Have a good day.